or patient with a acute renal failure means renal acute renal failure and the intensive renal disease or ATN. For this, we have to see ratio that is more than 20:1 suggests renal disease, more than less than this it suggests ATN. Then the rise in the plasma creatinine. Generally, in the renal acute renal failure is variable rise or sometimes downward fluctuation we can see in some patients, but is a progressive rise in serum creatinine means rise in creatinine 0.5 milligram per deciliter per day. It suggests ATN. If urinalysis we see blind cast or violent cast that suggests renal cast or renal cast, they suggest ATN. Then urine osmolality in the pre-acute is about 500 milliosmol per kg. Every less than 350 suggests ATN. Then urinary sodium, spot sodium less than 20 milligram per liter, it suggests renal renal failure. Every more than 40 suggests increasing renal disease or ATN. Then I already discussed with you the fractional excess of sodium less than 1% suggests renal renal failure. If it is more than 2%, then suggests ATN. So routinely for this differentiation between the renal ATN, we generally do routine tests like urea creatinine. A ratio more than 20 suggests renal, if it is more than 20, less than 20 suggests ATN. But you should see that in many patients who are intensive critical care unit, we are giving steroid in this patient GI bleed. In this case, in patient with renal, even patient with the acute renal necrosis disease, like when you're using steroid or patient has GI bleed. So this test may be confounding many cases. Or many times with patient with acute tubular means acute catabolic phase, then rise in creatinine may be very high. Now this is the slide is already discussed with you that how we differentiate AKI, renal AKI and post-renal AKI. Then according to history and physical examination and some tests, we can differentiate renal and the post-renal that I already discussed. So I'm not discussing this slide. Then we will discuss the intrinsic causes of the AKI, few common causes of AKI, ATN and the intrinsic renal disease. One is the common is the acute tubular necrosis. This is the most common cause of the intrinsic cause of the ARF. Open ischemic or toxins. Ischemic ATN generally you see in the hypotension, sepsis, or prolonged renal AKI, or we can say toxic, tetrotoxic ATN. This is the contrast-induced nephropathy, antibiotics, and the heme proteins. For diagnosis, we have to. I discussed with you. We have to do fractional excess of sodium during routine urine examination, where we see muddy cast or reticular in the cells in the urine. Now, for the treatment of ATN, the ATN that is a supportive treatment means we have to maintain the hydration. Many times you have to use diuretics or IV food according to the condition of the patient. Yes, many times you use the diuretics to convert oliguric AKI into the non-oliguric AKI to prevent the pulmonary edema. Then we have to avoid hypotension. And we have to see the drugs which may be nephrotoxic, like NSAID or AC whenever possible. And many times we have to do dialysis if required, especially patient who develop the complication of the AR, that is a hyperkalemia, volume overload, or metabolic acidosis. In most of these cases, 80% is recovered if the initial insult reverse, as well as that we can avoid the further AKI, other causes of the AKI, that is the hypovolemia or hypotension, and the other medications that may affect the kidney. When we are doing the dialysis in these patients, we should avoid the hypotension because the hypotension usually further precipitate the recovery of the renal function. You can see this hypomedic cast in the ATN, and this is the cast we see in the renal. Then contrast nephropathy, also important cause of the ARF in the hospitalized patient. Generally, these patient develops ARF after 12 to 24 hours, that peaks in the 3 to 5 days. Generally, these patients have non-uric AKI and fractional exchange of sodium will be less than 1%. Treatment is proper hydration and to take precautions, especially those patients who have high chance of the contrast-induced AKI. For prevention of this condition, we should hydrate the patient with normal saline for at least 12 hours before the procedure, as well as this should be continued at least 12 hours after the procedure. You can start normal saline by 60 ml per hour, and we can use anesthetizing at least 4 doses pre and post. And we should take special precautions, especially patient retinal in CKD, hypertension, hypovolemia, diabetes, myeloma, and congestive heart failure. Yes, you may many times in a patient who require contrast studies, especially those patients with poor heart conditions, we should hydrate them with very caution, especially orally. We should avoid IV hydration because these patients will develop pulmonary edema after the fluid powder. Then with analysis, there is important cause of AKI as well as the renal failure. Otherwise, many conditions like seizure, patient born, patient with cross injuries, and hospitalized patient with after the cardiopulmonary bypass or IEBP insertion. These patients generally present very rise in the creatinine with potassium, phosphorus, as well as uric acid with low calcium. The CPK is a very important test to differentiate between the rhabdomyolysis with the other condition, and the CPK generally lies more than the 10,000. Treatment is generally supportive with proper hydration, as well as the avoidance of nephrotoxic medication, and acute emergency like severe acidosis or hyperkalemia. These patients will need dialysis. Then acute glomerulonephritis, that is the generally we see in the outdoor patients. These patients generally present with the rapid rise in the creatinine within the weeks, days to hours to days. Many times these patients have hematuria, pedal edema, and in urine examination we will see RBC cast. When we do other tests like C3, that is the generally low in the positive glomerulopathy or MPG and the C3 glomerulopathy. We can also see RPGN, especially with the NTGBM and the ANCA and immune complex glomerulonephritis. For further evaluation in this patient, we need to do ANCA level, ANA level, CTC4 level, and the many times kidney biopsy. The treatment is initially control of the volume diuretics as well as the. Should we continue? So should I continue? Okay, sorry. So we need to do renal biopsy of this patient and supportive treatment like diuretics, control of blood pressure, and then according to biopsy, we have to do steroid and the other chemotherapies. That we can see how RBC cast look like. Then the atheromolic ARF, that is generally we see in the patient after some vascular. They generally occur because of the embolization of the fragments of atherosclerotic plaques from the aorta as well as the large arteries. This patient generally present with we can diagnose this patient with the history of this type of surgery. Physical finding means the embolization other part of the body like cardiovascular accident, with accident, ischemic digits, blue toe syndrome. In investigation, we will see low CT and C4 level. Patient have peripheral eosinophilia, and many times RBC, WBC cast. So this the patient generally we have to give supportive treatment as well dialysis because they know that the specific treatment. Acute encephalitis, there is always a common cause of the ARF. Generally we see because of the drugs like rifampicin and certain methicillins. They generally develop 3 to 7 days after the exposure. Patient may have systemic symptoms like fever, rashes, as well as eosinophilia. At urine examination, show WBC cast, and if further you have to do the Hensen set that is the eosinophil cast. Generally is resolved spontaneously after stopping the underlying etiology, and many times we need to use steroids, especially creatinine more than the 2.5 milligram per deciliter or patient of persistent rise in creatinine, or patient have non-recovering AKI. This is how the WBC cause we see. Now we come to how we treat a patient with ARF. First is the treatment underlying conditions as well as optimization of the hemodynamics and the volume status of this patient. We should avoid the further insult, especially the nephrotoxic medication and the hypertension. Then we should optimize the nutrition and maintain the renal replacement therapy. So this is how we treat the ARF patient. Means the resuscitation of this patient, we patient see ARF, like treatment of hyperkalemia, hyperacidosis, as a fluid overload. Then we have to differentiate it between the renal AKI as well as the renal AKI or intrinsic renal disease. If it is because of the renal AKI or ATN, then we have to give supportive treatment. If it is because of the intrinsic renal disease or obstruction, then we have to treat by biopsy or the evaluation of the treatment of obstruction. And then we have to treat etiological treatment like cases PRF, then we have to improve the cardiac output or hydrate the patient. We have to, in acute tubular necrosis, basically supportive treatment with diuretics and avoid the further nephrotoxic medications and other conditions, and symptomatic treatment, that is the dialysis and the treat the other complications. Then, what is the indication of the renal replacement therapy? That is like the patient has symptom of uremia, that is encephalopathy, uremic pericarditis, refractory volume overload, refractory hyperkalemia, and refractory metabolic acidosis. But now for the prevention of ARF, we have to take for the prevention of ARF, we have to take all the precautions, and we have to identify those patients who have high chance of the AKI and use medications cautiously in this patient. So, which patient have high chance of the AKI? That is a patient who have hypertension, patient is sepsis, patient have pre-existing cardiac dysfunction, patient with diabetes, elderly patient who are already exposed to nephrotoxic medication, that is the aminoglycoside, amphotericin, immunosuppressive drugs like chemotherapy or NSAIDs, and then the RS blockers, and patient who have post-cardiac or vascular surgery, especially in the ICU patient or patient in multi-organ failure. So we have to identify which group of patients who have developed high chance of ARF, and we should treat them patient partially with the nephrotoxic medications. Means we should avoid the further insult to the kidney by hypertension insult or nephrotoxic medications. Now, the complication which we get from our patients who have got admitted and staff call us, your patient have not passed any urine in the last 4 or 5 hours, so what we should do? So this is a common question generally we got, especially either nephrologist or patient with critical care. What you will see. So first I will ask, you see patient's bladder is full or not by C suprapubic tenderness or suprapubic fullness. If it is not there, or patient many times it may be when a patient is catheterized, then I ask them to do catheter flashing or see if it is catheter block or not. Okay. Then I will ask to see input-output chart, means if patient taking proper fluid or not, if patient is dehydrated or not, if patient you look like the patient is not taking fluid properly, then I will ask them to give 200 to 300 ml fluid. See if patient not pass in urine 30 to 60 minutes. If it pass, then that patient dehydrated, then we have to hydrate the patient. If patient not pass in urine, then I will ask to give diuretics, and then we evaluate the patient if the patient is really dry or patient is a renal failure. And in that case, we have to evaluate by do some tests like urea creatinine, urea and urine examinations, ultrasonography, and if we have rule of any urine retention, any dehydration, then we simulate that why the patient is in ARF by further investigation and the ultrasonography. So this is a very important slide, how we can differentiate in the various type of the ARF. First, a patient which are present with ARF or acute renal dysfunction or patient with basically we can see the patient comes in OPD or in the emergency with rise in the creatinine, then we have to decide whether patient is or is patient in the underlying chronic renal disease. In this, we require a proper history and examination. Proper history means any past history of any volume load present or pedal edema present or hypertension present or any history of AKI in the past or any nephrotic illness in the past. And during examination, we have to rule out is the hypertension, present of anemia or any evidence of osteodystrophy. Any by history, we have to take any previous history of renal function, patient have any baseline creatinine, and then we have to do ultrasonography, except in diabetic patient where the kidney size generally remain normal. So by still physical examinations of past investigation, we can have to decide whether patient have ARF or patient CKD. And then second is that we have to rule out any obstructive history present or not. If patient have past history of urgency, frequency, and history of hematuria, or patient present with combined anuria, then we have to palpate the bladder. How many times we have to do ultrasonography, see if any urine retention present or not. If then we have to see patient is in the hypovolemic or means dehydration. Then we have to see pulse, JVP, CVP. We have to see dry weight, and we have to see if there was no rise in the urea creatinine present. If we have to see urine or sodium, if it is more than 20 or not. And many times we have to give float challenge, and if the after float challenge patient improve, after improvements is a renal or what is there, and we have to treat accordingly. And for renal, I've already discussed with you, then we have to go for the patient already in ATN or any intestinal disease. Then after history and physical examination, we have to do some urine tests like urine dipstick or microscopy to see RBC card, WBC cast, eosinophil cast, proteinuria. And by this we can differentiate by intestinal disease, various types, like is ATN or some glomerulonephritic illness or vasculitis, whatever that. By this we can differentiate patient. So you can see in this slide, we have to differentiate between acute renal failure, chronic renal failure. If patient acute renal failure because of the renal AKI or intestinal disease or disease, and by history, the physical examination or history of then differentiate with the vascular cause of the AKI, like atherosclerotic vascular disease. If there is renal asymmetry, loin pain, hematuria, macroscopic hematuria, or complete anuria. In fact, you can see that we can differentiate between the various type of AKI, as well as the patient with in AKI or CKD, we can differentiate. So friends, this is the total discussion on the patient with acute renal failure, including the definition, etiology, and the management. I will invite any question if you have, and thank you for your listening and coming on the online. Thank you. Yes.
So there is one question came online. It is asking the biomarker of AKI or the early biomarker.
See, at present is common biomarker that is the creatinine. That is we are using for long time along with the urea. Earliest biomarker which are studies are going on, that is the NGAL, cystatin C, interleukin 16, as well as the NAG. There are a few markers. NGAL is available especially in the as a spot test, which we can do in the our ICU, especially those patients with sepsis and patients with cardiovascular. By doing this NGAL and some early biomarker, we can identify which patient have further chance of development of the RF, and we can take all precautions, including the proper hydration of the patient as well as the avoidance of the nephrotoxic medications. So NGAL is available, and we have the marker like NAG and cystatin C, interleukin 16, and there are low put other markers on which the investigation are going on. So much, and I'm concluding the session. Okay.